When we multiply 2 by 1 asterisk, we'll get 2 asterisks. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to use a while loop to build a guessing game like this. So we have this secret number, which is currently set to 9. Now the computer is asking me to make a guess. So let's say 1. It's not right because the secret number is 9. I can try again. 2. No, it's not right. Let's try again. So I only have 3 chances to make a guess. If I can't guess the number, the program tells me that I failed. Let's run the program one more time. This time I'm going to guess the number. So it's 9. There you go. It says you win. So let's go ahead and build this program using a while loop. All right, let's start by defining a variable to store our secret number. So we call that secret underline number and set it to 9. Now we need a while loop to repeatedly ask a user to make a guess. So while condition colon. What is our condition here? Well, we want to give our user a maximum of 3 guesses. So similar to the last tutorial, we can define a variable like I, set it to 0, and assume this represents the number of guesses the user has made. And then we can write our condition as I less than 3. Note that here I'm not using less than or equal to operator because with this condition, our loop will be executed 4 times while I is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So here we should use the less than operator. Now, if we give this code to someone else, it's not quite clear what does I represent here. It's only in our head that I represents the number of guesses the user has made. So as a best practice, always use meaningful and descriptive names for your variables. So it's better to rename this variable to guess count. Let me show you how to rename. So right click on I variable and then go to refactor and rename. Look at the shortcut. On a Mac computer, that's Shift and F6. Now in this dialog box, we can easily rename a variable and PyCharm will update all the references to that variable. So we don't have to manually update each instance, okay? Let's change this to guess underline count. Enter. There you go. Now that is better. Also, it's better to store 3 in a separate variable to make our code more readable because it's not quite clear what does 3 represent here. So let's define a variable called guess limit and set it to 3. And then we can change 3 to guess underline limit. Now our code is more readable. While guess count is less than guess limit, see, it reads like a story. This is how you should write code. All right. So while this condition is true, we want to ask the user to make a guess. So here we use our input function, guess. Now, whatever the user enters comes out as a string, so we need to convert it to an integer. So right here, we pass the result to the int function and then get it and store it in a separate variable called guess. So at this point, the user made a guess. Now we need to increment guess count. So guess count, we set it to plus equal 1. Okay. Now we need to check to see if the user made the right guess. So here we need an if statement. If what the user guessed equals our secret number. Again, see, our code is so readable. It's like a story. You can read it like plain English. So if this condition is true, we want to tell the user they won. So print you won. Now let's go ahead and run our program up to this point. So, okay, it's asking me to make a guess. I'm going to make the wrong guess. So 1, it asks me again, beautiful. 2, one more time, 3. Okay, what is missing in this implementation is the message that tells me that I failed. We're going to take care of it momentarily. But let's run the program one more time and make the right guess. So 9, okay, it says you won, but it's still asking me to make a guess because our while loop is going to get executed 3 times. Look, 1 and 2. So we need to change our program such that if the user makes the right guess, we need to terminate our while loop. We need to jump out of it. How do we do that? So over here, if the user makes the right guess, after we print this message, we can use the break statement to terminate a loop. When Python interpreter sees this, it's going to immediately terminate our loop. It's not going to evaluate this condition again. Now let's run our program and see what happens. So I'm going to guess the right number. You won, and look, we were not asked to make 2 more guesses. Beautiful. Now, the last thing that we need to add here is the message that tells the user that they failed if they couldn't guess the right number. How do we do that? Well, in Python, our while loops can optionally have an else part, similar to the if statements. So earlier you learned that our if statements can optionally have an else part, like here. So if this condition is true, do this, otherwise do something else, right? In this case, our if statement doesn't have an else part. Now, similar to the if statements, our while loops, our while statements can also have an else part. So right at this level, we can add an else block, so else colon, and the code that we write here will get executed if this while loop completes successfully without an immediate break. In other words, if the user guesses the right number, we break this loop, we jump out of it, so the code that we write in the else block will not get executed. But if the user cannot guess this number, we're never going to break out of this loop, so this loop will be executed to completion until this condition becomes false. In that case, the code that we write in the else block will get executed. And this is the perfect opportunity for us to tell the user, hey, you made 3 guesses, but none of them were right. So print, sorry, you failed. Now let's test our program one more time. So guess 1, 2, 3. Sorry, you failed. Let's run it one more time. This time I'm going to make a wrong guess and then the right guess.